Hello, thank you for joining us on this episode of Video Game Replay. My name is Larry. Joining me today is my co-host Aidan.
What's up? Dilf in the building. We got CJ up there too.
Hey, I'm up here. I'm normally not on top. I'm pretty short. That came off really terribly. Anyway, Larry, go ahead.
So, let's get into it. Game of the week this week is a classic from 1987 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. One that CJ picked out for me to play, Metroid. CJ, let's start off with you. Did you
Sure.
have a reason or desire of why you wanted me to play Metroid?
Metroid is a badass character. I can't say I know the absolute most about Metroid or Samus, whatever. But as you hinted at earlier, I knew Metroid being Samus would be a good Larry game. Because everybody knows Samus is cool. Metroid is cool. Won't elaborate too much farther, but they're cool. So it's a cool game with a cool main character. And I feel like I do remember you at some point in time mentioning to me you and your brother beating, or he was beating the final boss and you were cheering him on, unless I'm mixing games up. So it might have been part of it.
No, actually, that was part of one of your questions you asked in an earlier
Okay,
episode.
yeah.
I will touch base on that one again here in a little bit, but let's go ahead and dig into this. I was very happy to hear that we got to play Metroid.
Yes.
So let's go through the history of it. Developed by Nintendo R&D 1. It's not the same group that does Mario. It's a whole different group of guys. Of course, Nintendo published it, and it's considered an action adventure platformer. This itself starts off its own genre, but the other part of this genre doesn't really kick in until about 5 to 10 years later, known as Metroidvanias. But playing through this game, you'll kind of see why it begins itself as getting into that genre. But let's cover our bases. Metroid is an action adventure game where you play as the bounty hunter Samus Aran, who is working to protect the galaxy from space pirates led by Ridley, one of the mini bosses in this game. You land on the planet Zebes to track down Ridley, Kraid, and a cybernetic life form known as Mother Brain. All this chasing them down because they're space pirates, of course. But during this, you also discover an alien life form from planet SR-388 known as Metroids. Um, that's really the short of it. I mean, like I say, there's a whole bunch of lore that gets built into this later on, because this is the first of a series of games which, and strangely, over 40 years, has really only gotten about 4, maybe 5 core games. It spawned off a couple different series, but in this one here, you got Metroid, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, and the most recent one released was Metroid Dread. And like I said, multiple spin-offs, including the very famous Prime series, which started, I think, on the Wii, or no, it started on the GameCube, uh,
Yeah.
which they just announced just as well, again, dating when we're happening, but they just announced Metroid Prime 4 will be out sometime in 2025 as well, so it's coming. So it's got a long lineage, but we're going to start at the beginning on this, to start at the very, very basic where we were at in 1987 on this. Aidan, first impressions, what did you think? What'd you get out of this?
I enjoyed it. I did not know what it was from, but I remember playing Smash Bros on the Wii, and I played Samus. Was one of my favorite characters. I had no clue what it was from until I played this game, and then I figured out. And then I did not actually know, or I knew from the Wii that Samus was a girl, but I did not know this was the game. This is the game that it came from. I had no clue. And then I started playing it. It was a fun game. I was a little confused. I played the wrong thing at first on on the Switch system. There's
Okay.
multiple different selections, and I was so confused. But then I figured it all out. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was side scroller platformer. I feel like the mechanics felt good. Yeah, first impressions. Not going to get too deep into it yet, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed what you've seen initially. How about you, CJ? What did you come out of this feeling like?
Honestly, the one thing that kind of got me, I love the intro. The after you start the game, like the spawn in, like you
Mm-hmm.
phased in and the music, that's badass. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wasn't as pissed to die when I did die because of that in a way. I'm like, ah, there it is. Like it kind of a good little high. But yeah, kind of first impressions. I played a previous one. I couldn't name it. If you showed it to me, I don't know that I could name it. Played it a little
Yeah.
bit at some point. Could have been 10 years ago. Could have been last year. I don't remember. Um, but so I was kind of excited to get into it, being that I've known Metroid for the greater part of my life, known of the game, and never really played a ton of it. So first impression was kind of excited, a little anxious because I know how these NES games treat me as a very skilled player. But yeah, no, I was excited. Excited, like I said, the badass intro scene. Music came out nice right there in the intro, kind of paints a good scene. To follow Aiden up, I don't want to dive into my opinions too much yet, but
Okay,
good
fair enough.
feelings to start. Good feelings to start.
I'm trying to think back to 1987, which would have put me at being 7 years old, I think, when the time this one came out. And my brother, of course, like I say, the paler, uglier one of me, he got this. I can't remember if he bought it on his own. I think he did, and he played the ass off of it. I never got to really play it because he was just not about it. Um, he didn't like to share because he knew I could be better than he was. Um, but yeah, I mean, the atmosphere, the alien world that you're dropped into felt alien. Uh, if the music starts out, you feel adventurous. You feel like you're, getting into something. Um, and the little small things that the game gives you. Just an example, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard somewhere, but just in case you haven't. At this point in the 80s, you're used to video games side scrolling. So you head to the right, and you go to the right of the screen, and eventually you hit a wall. You can't kneel, you can't do anything on it. So what do? You go back to the left, and you head back to the left, and you go back to the point where you start, and then you can find yourself jumping over a wall, and bam, you found I think it's called a Mari Mari, which basically is the little ball, which is one of the more familiar objects from this game. And now that you found this, you can go to your right and go under the wall and continue on your quest.
Mhm.
I enjoy because this is one of the first games that gives you the tutorial without telling you how to play it. It lets you feel it. You're gonna run into some simple characters, some simple enemies, but also on the same token, you've learned, hey, this game's not just a go to the right kind of game. There's more to it. And after you get that first discovery, then you head to a second one where now you're going through a vertical shaft, and your adventure just really begins, and it really helps spawn out and spread across this whole thing. Um, so it's a smart game. It's an intriguing game, but it's also very convoluted, I guess is the word I'm going to use. Because if you didn't in 1987, I don't think this was in Nintendo Power at the point. Maybe a couple different player guides were available, but they were just like little printed magazine kind of things without real descriptions. You had to make your own maps. You had to learn where you were going. You had to hunt. You had to find all things that I'll be honest, like I said, I don't expect that you guys went through a whole lot of that before you started either breaking into
Yeah.
cheats, codes, or walkthroughs. So, and that's perfectly fine. So, but let's talk about some more interesting things on it. CJ, how did the graphics work for you? How did the graphics and sound seem to bring you into the world of Zebes?
Honestly, I liked the atmosphere was a good word, or I guess a good thing for it, like you said. Atmosphere was pretty cool, and I think the sounds really add to it with the like I said, I mean, pretty much from the jump, you get hit with the intro, it feels like you're arriving. Um, so I kind of like the look of the game, kind of a little bit of a love hate. Some of it pissed me off because if you're looking at Samus the whole time, I think the game looks really well. But when you start taking your eyes off of Samus and start looking at some of the surroundings, it's not as pretty on the eyes to me. At least maybe it's just because I got kind of sweetened up with some of these other games we've played, and maybe that's why I feel this way. But I mean, to me, it's not as fun to look at as some other games have been personally. And the one big gripe with the graphics was when kind of it's hard, I guess, to hold it against it. But when I was getting 3 to 4 enemies, I don't know about you guys, I was getting that slowdown pretty
Oh yeah,
pretty bad. Other than that, I mean, I loved the movement itself. It took a couple jumps to get used to, but I loved the movement. I loved where when you jumped, you balled up. If you long jump, you ball up like that. I liked that a lot. The only thing
hmm
I wish that was different in that regard is I just wished you could jump out of the ball. Um, but I learned quickly you couldn't. And I was fine. And the sounds themselves, I didn't think were bad either. The sound effects and stuff, like when you break I'm gonna call them locked because I don't know, or protected, barriered doors, if that's clicking, like the rockets that you
Okay.
have to use for that. I like that. I like when you go find your ball, when you get your energy power ups and your rocket power ups and stuff. It's
Okay.
nice little sounds that they give you. Kind of makes it feel like you found something. It's not just like, oh, there was something there, don't know it. It gives you a little quick sound. I like it. There's one sound that drove me fucking insane, and yeah, you're smiling.
I already know what
Holy
it is.
shit, dude. Especially early on when I was trying to get the feel for the game. I wanted to break my Switch in half over my knee from hearing the fucking little "you're low on health" noise. Oh my god, it just doesn't quit. And it's like happens unreasonably early, in my opinion. Like, you could wait a little bit to start dinging in my damn ear. But no, you're at like 29 health, and it's like, hey dude, you got like 4 or 5 more hits and you're dead. Like, it's okay. Give me one, give me a doo-doo. Then that's it. Then tell me again. And then once I'm really low, then oh my god, that drove me crazy. But overall, not a bad experience. That one just hurt my feelings a lot. But yeah, overall, I mean, I thought it looked pretty fine. Like I said, not as pretty as I kind of was hoping for, but it's the first of its kind. Or first of a Metroid series. It is what it is. Sounds were cool, so didn't hate it.
They I think that's something that they learned to fix later in later games, and maybe they didn't. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but yeah, I guess you didn't notice when you start any level, whether you die, whether you load from a password or wherever, you start with 30 health, and yeah, it
Yeah.
pretty much takes I think 2 hits, and then that little you're gonna die beep 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 kicks in, and it's just like son of a bitch, either kill me or
Yeah.
give me something. So
Yeah, I'd
um,
rather just restart here. Yeah.
very very rage inducing, but did cause for that.
Yeah.
But how about you, A? How was sounds and graphics for you today? How'd this go?
I like what CJ said about the graphics. I don't think they were nothing to write home about, and it could be spoiled from other NES games. Like, I mean, even Gargoyle's Quest or Batman. Like, you can tell the levels, most of the design and most of the texture is the platforms you're standing on and the ceiling, and the background is
Hmm.
just straight black. Like, there's nothing beyond
Yeah.
that, and that's pretty much for the entire game. Uh, I can't remember. I believe for some bosses it might switch it up, but I mean, even games like Gargoyle's Quest, you can kind of tell in the background there's like stuff going on, and just aesthetically, it's more pleasing, and it kind of helps the atmosphere. But I like the music. I thought the music was cool. Of course, the beep 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 sound when you're low was annoying. I don't know if it's meant to do. If I don't know if that's purposeful to kind of get you riled up because it is a difficult game for the most part.
Uh, I think that it's kind of designed to the whole put some intensity, some hurry up, do something, you're going to die action into it. Which, like I say, we've been together on the family get-togethers and played that stupid ass catchphrase,
Hmm.
and the little clock on it
Yeah.
when it gets
Yeah.
closer to it starts going a little faster, a little higher pitch. So
Hmm.
Oh my
that's the
god,
same
yeah.
kind of thing. I think that's what it shoots at.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's one of the reasons I don't necessarily. I'm not going to put a knock on it because it does help you feel like it is annoying, but it does help you feel like you're in you're in this like almost spacesuit, and it's like I don't know if you like recall like even in movies like oh your ship is going down, your spacesuit's low on oxygen, so like beep 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 beep, and it kind of does have that. It kind of helps that feel like oh shit I got to do something, I got to hurry up, I got to get safe or whatever. But I like the music.
Prehistoric Jarvis. It is.
Yeah.
It's just Jarvis.
It's prehistoric Jarvis, but I like the music switching up with the different levels. I will say, but I was confused at first. I thought this was just a move right, very linear platformer. You're just gonna move right, and I learned very quickly that I'm going through this shaft pause, and there's like 4 doors. Like what's going on here? I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned very quickly that there is a lot of exploring to do, if in this game, and a lot of different routes you can take to progress through this game. But overall, I
oh
thought
yeah.
the graphics they weren't bad. I could tell what the enemies were. Uh, the sound was good. I liked the music. A couple of the sound effects were annoying. But overall, I don't think it was nothing crazy to knock against it.
Well, that's a fair assessment, and it's true. Again, like I said, we're looking at a 1987 game that you know you had Mario, it had stages that were either blue or black when you get down to the background. Now they added
Mm.
clouds stuff, gave a little more depth and all that. CJ mentioned it. Once you get 3 to 4 characters, though, the thing's already bogging down. So it's like if you try to give more another layer to it, I imagine this game would probably not be something we'd be talking about today at all. It would have been just something one of the 700 games on the Nintendo that people played, and it was the thing. But so I think it was just a smart point of just trying to get what they could, give you a little bit of atmosphere because at least the whole level, the whole screen that you see is kind of encased. And then, like I say, background, like we want to do more. And actually, I think there's a Metroid Zero mission which came out on the Game Boy Advance, which is like a upmake of this. And I think they actually filled in some of that because at that point the graphics processors and all that were a little bit better. And they pulled George Lucas on it and was like, we meant to add all these things. Graphics wise, yeah, it's not the prettiest one we've ever seen. I think it does look good though. You're able to define Samus as being a slender character with a big head, and the running animations were all right. The spin motions were good. Um, and honestly, like I say, in retrospect, being that you do get the slowdown, I think either one of two things: either it was really graphically intense, or they just hadn't got good at putting them in at that point. So it's a fair assessment to say that they kept it kind of basic, but
Yeah,
they also didn't know what they were going to get out of it.
yeah. I will say, like, even who is this game made by? Who is the
Oh, I
publisher?
can't think of that
Nintendo.
guy's name.
Nintendo
Well,
published it.
yeah,
Boom.
it's Nintendo. It's straight up Nintendo.
Because I was gonna say even games like Mega Man that came out around the same time. It kind of had similar issues with a lot of things on the screen, but I will say Mega Man's graphics, I think that the 1987 one were good. Like they had a lot of background stuff for that as well. So I don't know if it was
Oh yeah,
how Nintendo itself kind of maybe optimized it a little poorly for how they made the game. Because I mean, if we hold it up to something like the original Mega Man, it had so many different stages, and it did have that problem with a lot of enemies, but it also had kind of background design. So that's why I think I can hold it against it a little bit, even for its time, because there was other games of the time that had better graphics. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well,
Fair.
they I can't argue with that either. I think say it's not the best one they ever had, and I'm not going to argue that it was. But I think, like I say, for what it was, they did all right. They gave you what they were looking for. It
Yeah,
helped develop the atmosphere,
it didn't hurt my
and
experience too
I
much. I'm just pointing it out.
um yeah. Now sound wise, I wanted to come into this like, oh man, I love the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack because I've heard it on different things, different versions of it, if you will, through covers and all that. And lo and behold, again, dating our podcast, damn it. I was checking my phone today, and the Nintendo Music app published the Metroid for NES music soundtrack. So I did get a chance to listen to that before I left work today. And listening to it straight on that, I'm like, this is not a banger. It's good. Like I said, it does well. It's setting out what each different player level is. The first one where you have the Rockies, the rock layers, the bubbly kind of stuff, and the different Ridley's layers. So I mean, not bad. Good for what it was. Um, this one though, I think I came into it sound wise. I was high on nostalgia, but once I got to actually just listen to it, it's good. That's about it. I mean, 7 out of 10 on the music side of it's really how I would sell this to anybody. Um, let's go into some of the deeper feelings and thoughts on all this. So I'll start with this initial question, and I truthfully expect the answer is no. Did you guys beat this game?
No, not personally.
I believe I came close, but I don't think I beat it fully. I did not.
Did you beat any of the mini bosses?
Yeah, I think
You-
I
The
will
purple
say
one, or
I did eventually. I believe I beat two of them.
okay,
I will say I did eventually, after a couple hours of playing, watch a walkthrough to kind of get me in the right direction. Just full transparency, and
Mm,
I beat the purple one where you can kind of cheese it by just getting up close to it. I don't know if it's cheesing or intentional, by just getting up close to it and spamming in like the yellow one where he just walked back and
yeah,
forth and shot the stuff, and I bombed the hell out of him. But I believe there was another boss I did not beat.
Yeah, that would have been Mother Brain, which is pretty much the quote unquote main boss of this game. How about you, C? Did you greet, see any bosses at all, or?
I think that I'm guessing it was like it. I mean, I guess it's an alien, but like the alligator man kicked my ass a few times, kind of pissed me off. Is that the right word for it? Alligator man? I don't know. You know
I
what I'm
don't.
talking
I don't
about?
know either.
He
I
kind of
did
looked
not.
like an alligator.
I did not fight
I
this
don't know.
alligator.
The alligator looking dude. Not a good time for me personally. He just shot really
I don't.
quick. I thought
I don't remember
if
the alligator looking dude. Was that like a small mini boss or like a not a main boss? You talking about a
Just a
mob?
regular. I think I was if anything,
alligator.
it's a regular mob. But
I thought it was a boss. It felt like a boss.
forgive us, folks. We're having technical difficulties as we're trying to figure out what the hell is going on in CJ's brain here.
Might have been a mini boss, or not a
Once
mini
again,
boss, just a regular mob.
What
Or it
color
might have
was
there
it?
been.
was.
It might have been the thing that fucked me up at the end that I thought was a boss, and it might have not been a boss. At one point, there was a stat. Do any of the statues turn into a boss that look like an alligator?
No.
Okay, I think I know what happened because it was similar to the flying down one things,
Yes.
and I think I wrote it down this way that I got soft locked kind of,
Okay.
because which now that I think about it, my only other Metroid game I also got soft locked. I went into like the statue room to get something I don't remember, and I got it, and a flying thing I thought appeared from it, and every time I went to leave, it would come through the door and kill me before I got out of the door. And I don't know. I'm
Hmm.
guessing it was a regular mob,
So it was kind of
but
green and like a little closey mouth up and down,
yes,
loaded up and down through
yeah.
the screen.
hmm
Okay, yeah, that's a very early mob.
Dude,
Yeah.
it pissed me
So
off. I had to restart at that point, and I was very heartbroken because I kept resetting. You know, I was using the Nintendo hold the triggers and go back, and I could not get out. And it was just I was like, I didn't even see this dude come from anything. So I just assumed he like came out of the egg when I got the thing, the orb when I grabbed the item, and he
yeah,
just kicked my ass to oblivion. I think that's the only thing I
yeah.
thought, or only boss that I thought was a boss. But I guess the regular enemies are just ruining my day.
Sorry, man, but yeah, I think it's just something there because based off what you're selling me, it's like I kind of know what you're talking about, but
I can
it's
try to
okay.
research and find out eventually, but yeah, it kicked my ass. Yeah, I soft locked myself there.
That's okay. It happens, and like I say, it's a different feel of a game. That was something intentional that they had. They didn't want this to feel like anything that been played before. So that was a little bit of what their goal was, to make a different type of game for it. Um, Now I can remember, like I said, going back to 1987, watching my brother do this. This shows that it came out in August. He got it early. I'm gonna say like maybe September of '87, and he didn't beat it until like Christmas break that year. So the end of December. But I mean, that's, hours a day dealing with sports and all that stuff too. And he went through everything he could to bomb shit and like every little spot, because you didn't have this is where these energy tanks are, this is where the missiles are.
Yeah.
Um, and I beat it, which I sent it to you guys. I sent you a picture in our
Yeah.
chat. Um, and I told my brother, I sent him a picture of it, and he was like, "Oh, you finally beat that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I used a walkthrough." He's like, "Do you know you could beat this in less than an hour?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." Apparently, 'cause that's what I had done, and that's how you got this particular ending. But it's amazing that somewhere somebody has gotten this so perfected that that's what they were able to do. That under an hour, you were able to beat Metroid. Something that took my brother 4 months of dedication. And honestly, I've never beat this game without doing Justin Bailey, which starts you pretty much with both the bosses beaten. All you have to do is go get the ice beam and then go to Mother Brain and beat it.
Well,
So,
I
um,
probably played this for a combined 5 hours, and I did not beat it. So I did not
Yes,
take
I
the
put in a
same
good
route.
3 and got my ass kicked so much, like by regular stuff. Like I said, apparently I didn't even see a boss in 3 hours of it, and I had to put it down, dude. I had to. I could not anymore.
so with that then, like I said, with a little bit of gauging in this, what's your least favorite part of this, CJ? What's is it a little alligator guy got you?
Yeah, I guess. um, I'll definitely say first and foremost, don't care what kind of immersion it offers. Fuck the beeping sound. Fuck it till it's backwards. Did not like that. Um, let me think. The little enemies that came out of the bootleg Mario pipes pissed me the fuck off. That just beeline towards you. There's always like in sets of
Mm,
two. Those
yeah.
annoyed the piss out of me because I feel like I jump high enough to get one track to me, and then by the time I'm coming down, the other one's there. And dude, it was driving me insane. It took a lot of playing around to get past it, and a lot of it was let me eat a hit, and then trying to get back was eating 3 hits because I fucked it up, and um, it was hard, and I think it made it it made it kind of unlikable, I guess, for me in a way. Um, the graphics did,
Okay.
wow me, so that's one thing I could add. The getting soft walked and killed by a regular enemy definitely pissed me off. I think overall my least favorite thing was just, I guess, the enjoyability scale I had on it was really low because it was so damn difficult to me. I didn't really feel like it didn't really give me a ton to make me want to keep going. If I picked this up on my own without the intentions of talking about it with people kind of thing, I would
Yeah.
have quit way sooner. The first time I picked it up earlier in the week, my girlfriend was on the couch and she was laughing at me, and I'm like, it's just pissed me off. I was like, I have to come back to this. I have to put it down right now. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's everything. So I was like, I have to put it down. So I think really the worst part for me was just the difficulty of it, and this is more niche to me, of course, but do the exploring. I enjoy platformers, but the exploring, especially the shaft, actually. The shaft is kind of what made me notice it, but going through other levels, or other screens and stuff, I noticed it as well. It felt like they reused not just like obviously you're going to reuse shapes and stuff like that. I at one point going up the shaft at first, I went down because I was like, am I missing something? It's just reuses the same exact pattern of this enemy on this amount of block, and it does that in the linear levels too, where it's you see this and then you get past it and a little bit further you see that exact same thing again. It kind of tripped me out here and there, so it did not help with me getting lost in this world a little bit.
It's kind of like playing an old Flintstones cartoon, huh? Just same couch
Yes,
crashes you every
yeah.
every 3 seconds. Yeah.
It's like in cartoons they'll do like the fake little TV play things where it's like the paper rotating over and over. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like. It was like a treadmill standing on its side for me for a minute. And it confused me a couple times, and there's a couple times I'm like, just keep going. There's got to be something different, and eventually there is, but it kind of I guess took away from the inversion. It almost feels Mario Maker esque in that regard because of it. It kind of felt like if I
Yeah.
was making a level, oh, that worked good there. Let me put it 3/4 of the way through too. So it grinded my gears, as Peter Griffin would say. So
Hmm. Okay.
how's
I,
that? Had a little list there.
hey man, like I said, that's what we come together to talk about this shit, right? Get this therapy out of the way.
Yeah,
Aidan,
right.
how about you, man? What grinded your gears on this game?
Mike's muted, but
Can't even hear.
something a little similar. I don't know if I can necessarily knock this on the game. This is just my personal thing that I didn't enjoy. When I play a platformer, it kind of I know it's usually a side-scrolling platformer. You go right, and I know the end goal. I beat bosses, and I know I'm progressing. This and this is why I say I can't. I don't know if I can knock it on the game necessarily, because it was intentional. But it's just not my style. I like something for this type of game to be a little more linear. I was kind of exploring, and I didn't know the end goal. I was like, "Am I progressing? I'm getting these things, but before I played the walkthrough for a couple hours, I think I eventually restarted, but I was like, am I doing something right? I don't know if I'm accomplishing anything. I'm beating these I'm going through these little shafts and collecting something at the end, but I don't know if I'm progressing. Like I don't know what I'm working towards. Because like
Relatable.
Yeah.
even if you are playing it, and even if you play a walkthrough and you go the optimal route, like you're not fighting a boss for a long time. Like there's a good bit of progression before you even fight a boss, even if you're going the most optimal route. So it was a little confusing about the progression, and and I could definitely see if you're a kid and 1987 playing this game. Obviously, you're not looking to beat this game in a week like we are. So you can have those couple months of beating the game, and like Larry said, having a little map where you kind of write everything down and have the manual, and you get your month's worth of playtime. But for me, that I'm sitting down trying to play, it I would like it to be a little more linear. I get that's not what the game's about. I 100% understand that. It's just me personally. I felt my least favorite part of the game was I didn't know if I was progressing, and I didn't know what I was working towards.
I could see that because, yeah, like I say, really, the only counter you get in this is your health energy boxes and your missile things. Beating the other bosses doesn't give you anything or give you any even like idea that it's something you should be doing.
Yeah.
Um, and to kind of meet both of your all's gripes on this, Super Metroid I think fixes a lot of those problems. Um, it kind of helps clear those up, gives you a map that you can follow, kind of leaves you more in progressively linear motion of it. And then also you can see all the stuff that you gather as it starts to fill up Samus's suit and show you like all the different like you got all
Mm-hmm.
these different weapons now that these are full. You got the different types of armor; these are full, and those kind of things. So I think it does help. So very early concept, and from what I gathered, they were saying that this was kind of just thrown together, which, in retrospect, and like I say, listening to you guys, it shows. Um, I'm over here, 30 years plus of experience of playing and seeing this game, so you know, I've probably had your gripes, but on the same token, I got these handed to me as a kid, as they handed me my ass, and I wanted to be like Big Brother and do it. I just never gave the time and all that. The first one I ever beat was Super Metroid. That's a very good game. But that's not what we're talking about today. This game here, the thing that I think that I want to complain about is kind of like where CJ said he felt he got soft locked by one creature. It's not hard that once you kind of like get caught in a off rhythm, that these aliens, mobs, creatures will just own you. I
Yeah.
mean, it's weird. But like I say, if you go through, and I don't say play perfect, but at least you're ahead of the rhythm. You got the pace going. You're fine. But yeah, there's so many times that it don't take nothing for you to just get your ass handed to you. And it's like, what happened? It's just really you just lost pace, you lost rhythm. Some you can't, and it's hard to pick it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on a personal level, finding out that knowing the most efficient way to do this, it can be done in literally an hour. Um, I think in real time it took me an hour and a half because apparently the clock doesn't count when you pause. So,
Nice.
um, but like I said, it's a little disheartening to know that so much time was spent and somebody with a 15-minute video walked me through how to do this within an hour, and I did it twice. And I'm like, son of a bitch, because the first time I didn't get the multi endings, which I'll jump into that. This is one of the first games that does have multiple endings. I think there's actually like 5 or 6,
Wow.
and basically the multiple endings is nothing more than how Samus reacts at the end of the game. To being, if you beat it to like 3 to 5, 10 hours, she just turns around in disappointment. There's one where she'll just stand there in the suit and she'll wave at you. There's one she takes off the helmet and waves at you. There's one where she takes off the helmet and then in her zero suit and stands there and waves at you. And of course, the best one I think is not I think personally, but the best one, as according to the game, as the way it's created, was her standing there in a bikini waving at you in a little two piece. So that all you space nerds have now realized that hey, there's a hot chick in here.
We need to
Um,
beat it soon. We need to beat it quicker. There's something
yeah,
to work towards.
that's right. Only in the '80s with Japanese video game nerds will coming quicker be a benefit for you. Um, Being that too, it's weird that this game is highly based off of the Alien franchise and Alien movies. Um, because I don't know, I might just be me. I don't got a thing for Sigourney Weaver, but apparently these guys thought she was the bomb and couldn't wait to see her in a bathing suit. So go figure that. Um, I'll start off with I was happy though that now that I've learned how to do it, I'm still not going to be one of those people who's going to be able to speed run this damn thing. I'm just my hands and my platform playing with this. I think you would need an NES original hardware with original controller that's broken well to beat this in, I think world record's like 30 minutes, 33 minutes maybe. So
Jeez.
yeah, I'm not gonna be that guy, but I have found a way that I'm hoping I've done enough now over the past week that I've got it in my head to where I can go through and beat this game in an hour without any issue, like I did with Legend of Zelda. It's just something that's been instilled in my muscle memory, hopefully. So that makes me happy. I'm glad that I was able to get in there and beat Mother Brain. I wish that you guys could experience that, but what made you happy in this, A? What gratification did you find?
Uh, I I liked once I did start getting going, and when I was watching the walkthrough, once I did finally find a correct path, I did uh I did find enjoyment in, oh, this, I'm getting my ass kicked the whole time, and then, oh, I get a cool ability. So now that problem was once a bigger issue. It's not as much anymore. Like whether it be upgrading your missile slots or getting bombs when you go into a bowl, or getting the rainbow thing where you jump, you don't take damage. I
Hmm.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed getting the different abilities and feeling like you're becoming stronger. Uh, yeah, I want to say that that's my favorite part of the game. And I mean, killing aliens is just kick ass. I mean, shooting aliens in a battle suit, fucking up the levels is
Never go
kick ass,
wrong.
man. You can never go wrong with
Never
that.
go.
It falls
No.
under the men's hell yeah category, like I
Yeah.
mentioned, ninjas and all that. Yeah, it falls under
Oh
there.
yeah, it's in there. Oh yeah. So, see, how about you, buddy? You got anything that made you jizz in your pants?
Um, Maybe not that far, but
No. Okay.
um, before I go on, I forgot to mention one thing that I didn't personally like. Didn't really like the health system with the energy. Felt like it was a little weird and unbalanced. I felt like I couldn't really. It's just I don't know. I'd almost rather have like hearts or something than my energy getting knocked down to 8 and stuff. Like it was just didn't sit right with me. But I did like the kind of surplus or surpassing one energy cell was a nice touch. I will
Okay,
say,
so you did get
kind
an
of
energy
gates me.
tank at
Yeah,
least.
I was gonna say
Okay.
that does gate me into one thing I did like. I did like that it was instead of like just one health pool, it was like you don't die and then you still have a life. Your health, your energy self's gone, which I did like that. That kind of probably helps with the challenge for more skilled players. um I did like the movement though. I think I was thinking about it, in any game that you can turn into a ball, it's cool, it's fun, it's nice. And this doesn't, this applies to it. So I like the movement and the ball movement. Excuse my French here, but I did like the ball movement. um, it, Honestly, the movement's probably my favorite takeaway. Overall, honestly, it did feel clean to play, other than when you run into like 3 4 enemies. But overall, the movement was cleaner than I expected, and I do think the whole idea and theme's pretty cool. You're going to space and you're fighting aliens, and you are kind of a kick-ass character that obviously progresses for a reason. So I mean, I think the character itself is really cool, and like you said, even with the endings and the cutscenes, and with the helmet and the suit, coming off and stuff, it's kind of cool that you get to dive into. It's not so much of like just a robot looking suit. There is a person in the suit, which is also kind of cool, almost more relatable, I guess, in a way. You could be that person in the suit, and it's kind of cool. It's a female lead that's a kick-ass female lead. Sometimes, especially in the big 2025, sometimes they force it, and it feels like it didn't need forced. This was really done well, so I'm not going to get into it too crazy with that. But sometimes it feels forced. Sometimes they force a male character. It feels like it should have been a female. Sometimes it feels like they force a female when it should have been a male. Female character fit it. It was pretty cool. I think just overall the whole idea of it was good idea, especially in '87. Like, why not? Like you said, Alien. It's based off the Alien movies and stuff. That's like peak hell yeah badass. Like you
Yeah.
gotta capitalize, and I think they did that. So I'll give them some points for that.
I I I honestly need to go back and watch the original Alien because thinking back through this, there's a lot of video game stuff in the '80s that's based off of Alien movie franchise with how it went, and just even with what we've done now, Contra,
Yeah.
Metroid, and like there's several other ones in there, but like I'm just apparently there's something that I totally missed because I remember watching as a kid, and the only thing I can remember is the alien popping out of the guy's stomach, and then I think Spaceballs ruins that for me because then it starts dancing and singing "Hello, My Baby." you know, little bit confusion of where that all ends up in it, but yeah, they kind of semi plotted the whole female antagonist thing, because in the manual it's referred to as him. Um, his pronouns are all messed up in that.
Yeah, I
He
do
did
remember
this
hearing
and
this.
he did
Yeah.
that. So it was kind of weird that the. I think it was kind of like the surprise. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's your reward. You're gonna learn something today. And pretty much from that point, yeah, it's no longer a secret. So, spoiler on a 30-year-old game that's referred to the main character as a woman from this point forward. But I guess this is going to bring us up into the final points of this. So, let's see here. I've been working back and forth, back and forth. I'll start with CJ. Let's get some final thoughts and
Sure.
recommendations and all that, and go
All
on.
right,
Let's
let's
go.
talk about it. Overall, I hate bringing it into it, but I think you do it even with brand new games. No matter what, you bring in expectations to games, and sometimes, whether it's a new game, old game, it hurts when you almost get your expectations too high yourself. Not necessarily something the game did. I just thought that this game would be more kick ass than it was. Maybe not as hard, and that might also be my fault. Overall, I love the idea, the concept, the themes of it. Love the character. Like I said, the whole concept of the game is great to me. But I think, at least with my personal experience, the concept outweighs my experience with the game. I thought it was so difficult that, like I said, after 3 hours of essentially accomplishing nothing, I had to give up. Like it made me tap out on it. I do think it maybe it could be something to where it's just a skill issue, but I felt so lost in it, which it's almost a personal knock. So it's if you like getting lost and you like adventure, it's cool. I do like that they switched it up a little bit with you're not just going right anymore. You do have to figure it out. But I felt like some parts, like the vertical shafts alone, felt dragged out to me. I almost felt like you didn't need to jump that much to get up to the next spot, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So there's probably more lows for me with my experience than highs. Did I enjoy it all that much? Not a ton. I think if I was gonna recommend this game to somebody, I would hope that they like either classic games or they like Metroid alone, because based on even what you said, Larry, the games just get better. Even the next one on the SNES is just years. It fixes a lot of mine and Aiden's gripes here. So I probably wouldn't recommend you pick up this game myself unless you really want a challenge. And I do plan on playing some other Metroids, I think. I've always heard good things about Prime. Never, like I said, I've never really played a ton of it or any of them, but I think I could check out some later ones and probably be happier. Like I said, kick-ass character. It's a great idea. I think it just didn't sow the oats I needed sowed here. So not my favorite game we've played so far. And like I said, maybe let myself down because I set the bar too high with it, but just maybe kind of a little personal gripe. Didn't probably love it as much as I hoped, but Aiden, I'm hoping you have some softer feelings for the game.
I I'm a little bit less harsh because I feel like a lot of it is for me. Again, this is my personal experience, so I can't knock it on the game as much. I enjoy a little bit more linear of a platformer. I did not sense my progression as I was playing. I didn't feel that I was accomplishing much. Me just playing it how I would naturally without any type of guide. But if you like that type of game, and if you like exploring, and if you're just playing it to play it, uh, and you don't have a time frame, and you can actually take your time, and maybe look up a manual or get a map. I feel like you can definitely have some more fun with it than I did. But even looking some of the games like the first rendition of a lot of these classic series, like Mega Man, like Mario, a lot of the original rendition does not hold a candle to what comes up in the next couple releases. So, I mean, I would probably recommend it in the sense as if you're getting into the Metroid series, play this game first because I assume if you play the games after it and you come back to the original, you're not gonna have a good time. That's just probably how it is. But I did not, I didn't hate this game. It's sounding like I hated this game. I really didn't. Uh, I personally, I just would wish it was a little bit more linear. That's the type of game I like for a platformer. But overall, I would definitely come back to the Metroid series in the future. Some of the next games, I watched the playthrough, so I pretty much got the whole gist of this game. Uh, I would, yeah, and I would recommend it if you're getting into the Metroid series because play this one first, see the foundation for the empire that's going to become. Because once you play those games first, you're probably not going to like it. So yeah, I would recommend it in that sense. I probably wouldn't come back to this game in particular. The Metroid series, I would, but yeah, that's what I think.
Well, these are all fair assessments, and I'll be very honest with you. I kind of feel the same on a lot of those points. Um, on the same token of CJ, the lore starts here, so it builds a good introduction of who Samus Aran is. It's it is a very rough edge game. So, like Aidan says, you want to get into Metroid, you best start here because once you do Super or anything further down the line, it's it's going to set you up to not enjoy this because everything, you what do they call that? I don't know, just where they make games better just because of its progression. I can't think what it's called off the top of my head.
I
But either
blanked
way,
at it. But yeah.
yeah, something of life. I can't think of it, but either way,
Evolution. The evolution of life of games. That's what I was thinking.
evolution is a mystery. Um, that's for all you WWE fans. Um, the uh, the only one I think that, like I say, that you could possibly play and then come back to this would be Metroid 2 because it's actually a Game Boy game. So it's a little harder to get into, I think, but it's it's not a bad game. It's not a great game. Um, again, like I said, I'm looking at it through a lot of nostalgia goggles on it. Um, we're at the final part of it here. Like I say, I'll bring it up again. You beat the game, it takes you into a whole nother level of um, you got to escape the planet now. That's really what you have to do, and that becomes greatly intense because now you're up against a clock with very intense beating music. You have to land on pixel perfect platforms to make it out of the damn thing, which just scares the hell out of you. So that increases a little bit of it. I think that you can find a ton of satisfaction on completing this game, but that's what you have to get to really get the really everything you want from this game. Beating a couple of these bosses, that feels good. But it's the shit you have to go through to get to that's what drags a lot of it down. So, yeah, if you're wanting to experience Metroid, you want to know what it is, start here and realize it gets better as you go along. Um, outside of that, don't try to start in the middle of one and come back here. Will I play this again? Yeah, I will. And like I said, my thing right now is going to be simply to see if I was able to retain the muscle memory and the knowledge to do this again within about an hour. Um, like I said, I'll maybe only play this less than half a dozen times again in my life. Personal favorite of the series is Super Metroid. Um, I have beaten this one. I've beaten Super Metroid. I have beaten Dread and Fusion. So I'm a Metroid fanboy. And I don't even know how the fuck that happened, but I really am. I have played the Prime games. Um, if you're a first person shooter kind of guy, it might be your thing. I'm not. So there's a spoiler for that idea that I'm not too big on those. So, but yeah, like I say, all in all, Metroid for the NES. It's a decent game. Great place to start if you're lore hungry for something that the lore just blows up through five different games itself, and the Prime series actually slaps in the middle, I guess, as continuity goes between 1 and 2. So there's a lot of room in there that's got to have
Okay.
to plug in. So that's about the end of that, and that's about where we'll end on that. But first, we got an important thing we need to do. We need to put numbers to paper. So
Yep.
I will jump out on this again. I'm hitting a little bit of nostalgia glasses, but I still have love for this franchise, this game. I dance back and forth, but I'm just gonna hit the solid number that I've got, and that's gonna be an 8. I think it's a good game. I think, like I say, you start here, you'll be happy with it. You don't start here, that 8's gonna be harder to buy into.
Fair enough.
So, how about you, C? What do you want to throw at this today?
Man, feel like I'm gonna disappoint the world a little bit, including myself. I came into this with, like I said, higher expectations, and I think if you cut Larry's score in half, fold it over to a 4, I'd be comfortable giving that out to it. I just thought it was almost too
Oh, wow.
confusing, too difficult, man. Hard to enjoy, and like Larry mentioned it with our extra episode on Undertale. That's a big factor with video games. That's the whole goal of video games. Like there's some
True.
cool, like, I don't know, you play some cool like group class activity in school about history, and it's cool, but it's because you're in school. At the end of the day, we play these games to enjoy them, and myself didn't get that enjoyability high that I was chasing here, so I'm gonna have to stick it at that 4.
Okay. Well, that's perfectly fine. I get that. How about you, A? What's number you got for us today?
Oh, I was thinking about it, I'm not nearly as harsh on it as CJ is. I'm not nearly as high as you are. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm going to give it a 7 flat out of 10. I didn't
Okay.
hate the game. I thought it was a good game. And I have to appreciate the foundation for such a big series that this game becomes. And I got to realize that this game was made in 1987. It was the original. We compare it to the original Super Mario Bros. Or the original Mega Man. They're not quite the games that come after them, but they are a foundation for that franchise, and that's important to realize. Uh, the lore, I'm sure, gets in. This is a good foundation for the lore as well. I felt the movement was solid. Of course, I had a couple issues with the graphics, sound a couple issues. The style of game was not personally my favorite, but I'm somewhere in the middle of you guys at a flat 7.
Okay. Well,
Be the
there you
bias.
go. There are numbers. That's what those are. Those are numbers.
What does
So,
that bring us out to?
yeah,
This
that's the
is
question.
officially a good game. It gets a 6.3 VGR score, so therefore it is a good game,
Okay. Well,
which is
it's not
probably
drugged
fair.
down on us. Where it's not drugged down too far. It is a good game. But not the goodest of the good games that we played. I guess would be the proper way to put
Yeah,
that.
very
So
good way to put it. It's actually well, it's only above Contra when it comes to the lowest of the good games, but that's a discussion for another time because I feel like that probably stung. But um, what's
that
better,
one hurt a little more
this Metroid or
personally. Yeah.
Contra,
Yeah.
guys? Yeah, I feel like you guys definitely like the Contra a little better, but that's what it is.
Okay. Well, I like I said, I'll take 1 second here just to personally, if my brother actually listens to this, thank you for the memories of sharing and playing this game with. At least letting me watch the excitement that I'll always have watching you beat Mother Brain, and then the shitting my pants as you were trying to get up the elevator to get the hell out of this place and do all that. That was those are memories that will always stick with me, and I think, like I say, help give an extra point to this game. So, Hairbo, I do appreciate you and thank you for that. But moving on from Metroid, I picked out a game for Aidan, which is coming up. Aidan, what did I introduce you to, and hopefully what are you going to enjoy?
Guys, be ready for next week's episode. We have Gogolo 13, the secret episode. I believe that's the one. It's based off of a manga in the 60s, a Japanese manga in the 60s. It's an exciting game. I can't wait. I've heard a lot of stuff about the manga and the anime. Actually, the anime is very big or the manga is very big in Japan. It's one of Japan's classics. And this is an NES game based off of that. Larry has recommended this game to me. I don't know a whole lot about it yet, but I'm excited to find out. Make sure you tune in for next episode. I hope it's going to be a good one.
I hope it will be too. Like I say, I have faint memories of this. I remember the guy over the hill, Steve, used to play this, and I I don't remember too much either. But I hope it's good for us. I hope we get to enjoy it. But CJ, if you will,
Yeah.
send them out. Let them know how it is, man.
Before I do, my favorite part, I gotta plug in the
Oh,
Kanye
shit.
lyrics of the week. Kanye
There
never
we go.
does explicitly mention Metroid, but he does mention one thing about wishing that he could buy a spaceship. He says, "I wish I could buy me a spaceship and fly past the sky." It's basically because he's been working this grave shift. He hasn't made shit. And if he could buy a spaceship, he would fly past the sky. And maybe along the way, he would run into Metroid and the evil aliens. So,
Maybe.
you know,
Yeah.
it's a stretch of a plug there. But other than that, check us out, guys. The Instagram's been popping. The Facebook's been popping. Come interact with us. Send us some emails at vgrpod@gmail.com. Come follow us on all our socials. VGRpod at, or not at anything, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, favorite audio platforms. Ask your little Alexa that listens to everything you say. Tell her to play it. She will. I promise. She'll listen. She will do it. We know it's true. We've tested it.
Yeah, she likes to listen. She likes
Click
to
the
listen.
link tree in the bio. Check us out.
That's true. That's true.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, this has been another fun one. We came out live. We came and did this for you guys. Hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to Video Game Replays. I've been Larry.
Point nobody. My name is Aidan. Point up there.
Sorry.
My
I
Metroid.
was, I was a little confused. I thought CJ was pulling out his aliens. I don't know. But again, thank you guys. Appreciate
my
it. We'll
cannon.
catch you next time.
Later.